Westborough Public Library Building Committee. I'll do the disclaimer first. So pursuant to Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023, this meeting will be conducted via remote means. Members of the public who wish to access the meeting may do so in the following manner, joining us on Zoom. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. If we're unable to do so for reasons of economic hardship and despite best efforts, we will post an audio or video recording on the playlist on YouTube for the Library Building Committee as soon as possible after the meeting. And this meeting is being recorded. So first on the agenda is public forum. Do we have anyone from the public who wishes to speak? I hear none. So we'll move on to approval of minutes. I don't recall seeing any minutes come out. Okay, I see other heads shaking too. So it was not just me. So we will table any minutes to the next meeting. So we'll hop right. I love when a meeting like moves right along. We'll move to discussion of the repair project. Update on contracts and logistics. So Brian, take it away.
Thank you, Maureen. I have Steve here as well, who's been in direct contact with Seaver, who we're hoping to get a logistics plan that we could share with the committee, but that has not come through and reviewed yet by us to show everyone. But a lot has happened since our last meeting here. We have moved out of the building. There has been a mass moving operation that happened last week with Wakefield Movers to get the collection out into the temporary location. We do have some final boxes to check from an occupancy standpoint. We have a meeting with the building officials and fire department for some lights out testing to walk the facility and make sure that they don't have any concerns. But so far, I think, Kate, maybe you can chime in as well. But all the historical artwork was already taken over as well. We kicked things off with the moving company on Monday morning. I'm sorry, on Friday morning, and discussed some of the more delicate items and how that was going to be handled. And so I thought everything went pretty well. And we're at a position now where we've worked with the town and their insurance carrier to bind the builder's risk policy that the town is purchasing that we've budgeted for. We find that to be usually a better option for the town to purchase that. So we received that middle of last week. I spoke with Kim Foster, the assistant town administrator, about getting that signed and binded. And we're in the process of determining paying for that, or whether that can be paid out of our original appropriation, which would have to be issued on the 1st of July. That being said, this week we'll be putting together a notice to proceed for Seaver to actually begin construction at this point. At that point, it would their clock would start from their plans and specs that they bid on, with the number of days that we have. One update I wanted to provide as well, and this is with Mike Williams, is the remaining items that we need for the change of occupancy. I'll be giving call to Jim Stewart, who's back, the facilities manager, about those other reports that we had, which had to deal with the fire alarm and the fire extinguisher. We currently have a fire alarm report that showed deficiencies, but those have since been rectified, and I don't think we have anything that is kind of following up saying that they've been fixed, and we're trying to track that down. The other being the fire extinguisher. If you look at the physical tag on the extinguishers, it says that it was inspected last year. We just don't have anything formally as a report to upload onto the town's portal for that. I think those are the two, right, Mike?
There is also an owner's authorization form for that building, which is
Yes.
different than the one that's been authorized for the library itself.
Yes, okay. So we have that as well, which we may need a signature from, and Maureen and Mary have been great in turning those around quickly. So we'll track that down and get those over to you.
Okay.
Besides that, from a construction standpoint, Steve, is there anything that I may have left out or anything you wanted to add?
No, you covered it all, Brian. Thank you. All set. Thank you. You maybe mentioned that they're trying to get a couple things into the building this afternoon based on their own scheduling.
Yeah, they
Humble.
did reach out to us. They have some chairs and some of the administrative stuff that they were hoping just to put inside the front door. So we were going to be able to gain them access, although they won't be physically taking over the building from an insurance standpoint until we issue that notice to proceed. But they understand that the chairs and the printer they're putting in there is at risk, and it's not officially their building yet. So
We had planned to actually present that to you in this meeting with the logistics plan to kind of wade into those waters, but instead they realized they had fumbled the day with the holiday yesterday, and that not tomorrow, but today was when they were bringing those things over. So they called us from the doorstep saying, yeah, we made a mistake. So they're over there managing that right now. So that was our plan, is to go over that and say, okay, here's the logistics and all that. But as Brian outlined, we're not quite there yet. We were going to see it Friday first was the promise, and so I'm sure we'll see that shortly, and then we'll all understand what their plan is, for the site. We've I think over the project history, we've talked about logistics plans a lot. So we'll see what is intended and planned by Seaver and communicate that out, and we'll all understand that better once we see that.
And I think too, it's a great point. I think for our next building committee too, some of the real critical submittals will be coming in at that point that we'll be able to review with LPA and then provide a good update for the committee, as well as a monthly update that's including of their schedule of values, which is a breakdown of everything financial on the project, breaking down each division and how they plan on invoicing. They also need to provide a critical path schedule that we will review to look at milestones. This will also help us with communications to either abutters and to the town on what to expect coming whenever there's large deliveries or when there's going to be big milestones on the project that we want to make sure is communicated to everybody, as well as a cash flow and submittal schedule. So that helps us and helps the designer anticipate what's going to be coming in, as well as helps the town understand what we're anticipating for a payment schedule here from a construction standpoint. Usually it runs a standard S curve where the larger bills are going to be probably midpoint of construction when we start seeing a lot of material show up on site. But from an accounting purpose, the town would like that and finds that valuable so that they have an understanding from a fiscal year what their borrowing schedule is going to be. So it's really happening.
Can we, can I ask Kate or Lynn to share with us how it's going?
Sure. Is this the moving on to the temporary space portion of the?
I may be jumping ahead, but yeah. Go ahead.
I have a quick question for Brian. Did you respond to John's email asking for the timeline, the borrowing timeline?
So we put together a rough cash flow, and then we requested from Seaver to give us their cash flow as well that we could implement into it and update that to John. So I've provided him a kind of a general overall cash flow from what we see based upon full construction value. And I'll be honest, I stole it from another project too about what our payment schedule was from that, so that I had a rough idea of where it was. And so I want to get that from Seaver, get most updated numbers, and then provide that to him as well.
Okay, great. Okay, so how is it going in temp space? So I will say the move went really smoothly. We had a couple of hiccups just in terms of, I think that we knew some of our shelving wouldn't be in good shape when we took it out. And so we knew we would kind of have to pivot as things came up. And I think, and Lynn, you can chime in if you want, but I think we were really impressed with our moving company and the guys that they sent and the foreman that was here. They really worked with us to make decisions. They were super polite, super easy to work with. They also gave us a lot of compliments, saying this was the most organized move they'd ever seen, and because every single thing was stickered and labeled and color coded because we're librarians and that's what we do. Um, and so I think, you know, they anticipated it taking a week. Um, they, I think they only sent a skeleton crew in on Friday because most things were pretty much done. So, you know, on time, on schedule, everything was done here. We've got a lot of staff here this week. Shelf reading, rearranging, making sure everything's where it needs to go. I think that I'm very impressed with how the staff is coming together to make this happen. We've got 3 days and 1 hour and 18 minutes until, until kind of that anticipated soft open date of June 2nd, which we've been eyeing. I think in terms of our goals here, we knew we were starting with technology. As of right now, I believe all of our technology is up and running, including Town Network, although I haven't tried it yet. No, not Town Network. Phones. Yes, the town phones, which is part of the Town Network, are working. Only Lynn and I have computers that are on the Town Network. So those just might take a little longer because it's just her and I. But we're up and running. Our charter network is ready to go, which was kind of the biggest thing that we were concerned about. That's all set. All of our furniture is in place. We are kind of rearranging some of the little furniture, some of the logistics of what we thought was going to come over and work don't, because I think everybody's readjusting to the fact that any workflow that existed previously has to kind of get thrown out and restarted because it is a different world being in temporary space. There are no more, it's just very different. The way we interact with the space, the way that our patrons are going to interact with the space. I will say, I've been here the whole time, including Friday, which I was supposed to take off and didn't. We have had a lot of patrons already stopping by to see what's going on, so they're finding us, which is great. I think we're going to have no problem getting people to know where we are and come in. We just hung our signage today. So we'll start kind of creating some buzz around it. And I'm really excited for the patrons to come in and see what we've done with the space, knowing that we had to work within a few parameters, like, you know, putting all of the permanent shelving towards the back, which limited the size of the children's room that we could create here and the play space, but that will be an adjustment for people. I think we're in a really good space. If we don't soft open Monday, it won't be because of something that we had any control over. It will be, you know, during this walkthrough, they found something that we didn't realize. I think we've all done a good job kind of trying to identify those things that need to happen. I think there's still a couple of things that are kind of loose, but we'll work through them. We have 3 days. I don't know, did I miss anything, Lynn?
If I may, I'll just chime in. You know, being impressed with the mover is one thing, but I think that pales in comparison to how impressive the staff has been. You know, identifying what the problems are, knowing we have financial constraints about when things can be paid, taking care of them on a case by case basis, really rolling your sleeves up and getting this done and making sure that it happens. So that was impressive, and that doesn't happen on a lot of projects. So good job by them, and it's really impressive to be able to use the float that we had and still have the float after the move had happened. We were considering that there was going to be some issues after, and it seems like we're gonna hit what we wanted to do here on the schedule. So thank you to everybody.
Does anyone have any questions about the move or the temp space?
Only that the public is waiting. We hear it all the time.
Kate and Lynn, did you get my regarding the mailbox? Okay, I'm working on that right now about where the location of that, and I think the post office actually has control over that. So we're working currently about what would need to happen and for your actual address to be changed to there. And then I got some feedback regarding public signage out in the street about where to put that. chasing that down. Hope to have an answer in the next couple days about that.
Thanks, Brian.
Is there anything that you guys need from us, from the committee, to help you with temp space, with services, with getting the word out? Like, what can we help you with?
That is a great question. I think from our perspective, it's just really spreading the word of mouth. When we are open, we're going to be doing some social media stuff. I will say I appreciate the patience because this is Tuesday, May 27th, and I've not opened my laptop in a week and a half, which never happens except at home. So in terms of updating our website and things like that, I think that we're going to get there before we move, but it might just take us a little time to get to that. So the more that we can kind of spread the word that we're getting there and we're close to it happening. I don't know if I have any tangibles that we need from you, but thank you for asking, and I know where to find all of you.
So I will ask all of you on the building committee who live in town to, when you see those social media posts, please share them, whether it's on your own social media account or to groups that you may be affiliated with. It would be really helpful so we can get the word out and let people know once we're open and running. All right. Next on the agenda, other building related issues. Go ahead,
Right.
Walter.
I have one sort of oddball request thing. Related to when we'd be changing out the roof tile. So this is a little ways away, but this is, I guess, probably for Brian. But we had voted to not preserve the tiles because it costs a lot less to not do it. But I'm thinking there'll be some number of a dozen tiles that survive the fall quite okay. And my spouse is interested in acquiring some of those for the Historical Society.
Cool.
She had another idea that maybe the working with the one of the foundations or something, whether they wanted to sell those for a couple bucks or something too as a fundraiser. But anyway,
Yeah.
so that's my request. If you can salvage at least a few anyway, and
That will
would be interesting.
saved for a contractor meeting after with the site super saying, hey,
Yeah.
we need a few boxes of that.
Yeah.
Knowing that we paid for the quick demo of it all, but I'm sure
Yeah.
that there's something that can be done. No problem.
Yeah.
I don't know
Thanks.
if anyone on the call was around when the 1980 edition was put on, but at that time they took down the loft that was above the circulation desk. There was a loft with a glass floor, and it had a metal spiral staircase that went up to that level. And so when the 1980 edition was done, that could not be made accessible. So it was removed. And I do know one former employee has a coffee table that she made out of the glass
Oh, nice.
blocks from the floor. So I don't know if they gave them away or sold them, but it was a really nice touch and a way to keep pieces of the library still in the community after the renovation. So I love that idea personally, and I would love for the Historical Society to have some to hang on to also.
Could even paint a new library thing on each one of those slate tiles or something like that.
Mhm.
I know if Brian and I worked on it, they wouldn't come out all that well, but somebody with skills in that area probably could do a fabulous job.
They probably could. It would not be me either, Steve.
I bet you could get some high school art honor
Artists.
society kids to do it as a social, as a community service hours, so forth.
Mhm. Yeah, so lots to talk about that in the future. Excellent. So next meeting date.
One comment, Maureen?
Oh, sorry, Bill. Go ahead.
That's all right. Maureen, Brian, and Kate There's been some respectful requests. What's happening that would interrupt the church next door. So maybe before too long, Kate maybe reaches out and with Brian and just give them a heads up ahead of time. They don't know, and there was a lot of disruption before. My comment is that little or nothing, but it will come through the contractor. So just a preliminary meeting, just to keep it down, if you will.
What we like to do, Bill, with those sorts of things on site is have our on-site person be the point of those discussions instead of
Okay.
honestly anybody having discussions directly with the contractor. Just because, that's honestly part of our job and we won't, to the best of our ability, misunderstand our own conversations where sometimes when you're speaking with the contractor, that can happen. So that's definitely something that we would want to be directly involved in, and bringing whomever the right parties would be to that conversation, but definitely not just the contractor super, so that's all part of it. Yeah.
And
Yeah, that's great. And maybe just Kate ahead of time says it's coming at an appropriate time.
Yep.
And I'm guessing once we have that timeline nailed down
Right.
that we're waiting on, I'm sure that's going to be shared and that the church will be informed.
No, I'm sure you do it right. I'm just bringing that up because I don't want it previous to get out of hand, and we don't want that.
Yeah. Anything else?
Oh, it all sounds great. Like moving along.
All right. So next meeting date. I'm
That's a
just
good question.
looking for my calendar. This group typically meets the last Tuesday of the month, which in June. July.
Skip and
Jeez.
click.
Woo. Would be June 24th. Does that work for everyone?
Yes.
Brian, do you want to consider, we'll have to be responsive to requisitions when they come in. We're not there yet, but we're not far either. So typically and this isn't rehearsed, typically the requisition will come in the first of the month. There's a review process that Mike and his group will be involved with and we'll be involved with, but we try to move that very quickly to you guys because then it has to get into the check writing queue. So that has to happen fairly quickly, 25th, something like that, has to be the payment out. So we might want to decide, and not now, but how we want to manage just the rec timing.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And I think for the committee as a whole and what we've done leading up to this is the committee themselves have not voted on requisitions or the vendor invoice packet. And that has gone directly to the chair and to the director and to and to Lynn. And so if that changes, then we will fall in line with that monthly approval setting and making sure that checks get cut after the 30 days of work being installed. If it remains status quo, you will receive an invoice packet with our recommendation on it, probably the second week of the month, and it'd be ready for execution at that point. It'll have our signature and be fully vetted at that point. So if something changes and that should become part of an agenda item for the building committee to review and be distributed throughout the committee to review beforehand, please let us know.
So and then it would logically move maybe the meeting up to the third Tuesday or something so they could be
Correct.
approved in a timely fashion.
Correct.
But that doesn't affect June probably, but
It would not.
right. Uh-oh.
Something else today.
Cat.
Yeah.
In regard to
Um,
June 24th, I'm not available, but you can proceed without me.
Okay. So June 24th, and if we need to meet sooner, we can always post a meeting with 48 hours notice. So, all right, sounds good. Any last thoughts before we adjourn?
Great job, Kate
Yeah.
and Lynn and our Vertex team.
Move to adjourn.
I'll second.
All right, I'll do a roll call. So Walter,
Leslie, yes.
Bill,
Lenine, yes.
Pete,
Dunback, yes.
Sean,
Yo, yes.
Kate,
Braccio, yes.
Lynn,
Sukup, yes. I'm forgetting.
and me, Amy, yes.
yes.
And I think that's everyone. Did I miss anyone?
No.
Okay, we're adjourned.
Thanks,
Thank you
everyone.
all. See you soon.
Thank you.